Hey, this is Detroit Bob. Ever since I went to that Motown museum, I've been obsessed and fascinated with the Smokey Robinson story. So this episode, I'm going to call Searching for Smokey. I'm going to give you a rare peek into my laboratory back here, and you'll actually be able to see me as I search for all my Smokey Robinson records behind me. So there's 10,045s right there on that shelf. We're going to go through them. I'm going to pull all the Smokies out, but I also got to dig into the Miracles, and I might even get into some of the stuff that Smokey wrote for the Temptations and other groups. So stick with me, and we'll do a good search, and who knows, maybe we'll find Smokey himself. Yeah, there's a method to my madness, if you can believe all this. But I'll tell you what, LED lighting is great. If you don't have the greatest eyes, and the beauty of it, I've got everything in S all the way on this shelf right here. So we're going to start pulling the S's, and we're going to see if we can find some Smokies. But everything is on this little shelving unit, and it's an old medical records shelving unit. So I basically got A through Z and got everything contained on this unit. I even have an area here that I call still waiting to be filed. But the beauty of it, I got your Grand Funks, you've got your Isley Brothers, you got your James Brown, you got your Jackson Brown, you got your John Cougar, down here into your M's. Everything I need is right here, and it's sturdy. So yeah, there's a few that need to be filed, but we'll work on those. All right, Detroit Bob here. We're going to do a little thing called Search Your Collection on Discogs. And these are basically all my records. You see 2024 up at the top. That's the last record I entered, which was that tune-up Northern Soul. But I want to look for Smokey Robinson. So we just type in Smokey and then Robinson. So fortunately, he's got a little bit of a unique name with Smokey. You know, that's not too common. Robinson, so on. So do a little search, and there it is. We'll skip past these top four because I will talk about those later. But you can tap on any one of them. See Smokey Robinson being with you. 2021, I have 3. Now you got to remember, Smokey was the lead singer of the Miracles, and he was also Smokey Robinson in the Miracles. So some of them might be under those 2 headings. So we're going to go ahead and search there next. But that's a pretty cool feature that you can look instantaneously. All right, Detroit Bob here. Let's look under the Miracles. And you see the Miracles. And I'm not quite sure if the Miracles continued on after Smokey left them, but Love Machine by the Miracles and Baby Don't Cry by Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Here's the Miracles on the Jack White reissue way over there, which is sort of cool. There's Shop Around by the Miracles. Once again, we're into 2023. Baby Don't Cry, Yester Love by the Miracles. If You Can't Wait, there's the big hit, I Second That Emotion, came out in 67. Going to a Go-Go. I remember that being played on the radio when I was a kid. The one that Smokey talks about that he did with Stevie Wonder, Tears of a Clown. And some of those are, You're Doggone Right, Here I Go Again. The Love I Saw in You Was Just a Mirage, Yester Love. Another copy of I Second That Emotion, If You Can't, Ooh Baby Baby. That's an early one. I didn't know it was that early, 1965. Another version or copy. Here's a nice twofer on that collectibles label. Ooh Baby Baby, Tracks of My Tears. Shop Around, that was the big hit. 1960, that really put Motown on the map. First million seller, I believe. I Second That Emotion, Tracks of My Tears. I think could be his best song. Everybody covers it. I Second That Emotion, Yester Love. I Can't Stand to See You Cry, Second That Emotion. My Girl Has Come Since You Won My Heart Away. If You Can Want, I Don't Blame You at All. Baby, Baby, Don't Cry, Doggone Right. He wrote so much. The output was incredible. So More Love and Love Machine and You've Really Got a Hold on Me. So what a incredible collection right there.
The name of the show is RockMine, and the name of the channel is RockMine, and it's on YouTube. I'm your host, Detroit Bob, and I'm out scouring for vinyl in the region this morning. I wanted to thank everybody who subscribed because I hit a big milestone. I have 300 subscribers now. My goal is to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. So it's a show about finding old rock and roll records at flea markets, garage sales, record shops. I travel all over the world to look for rare, epic vinyl gems. So if you like that kind of stuff, follow along, go over to YouTube and check it out and hit that subscribe button. And once again, thank you very much for sending all your ideas and your forwards and your clips about record collecting and vinyl. Some of them are hilariously funny and I can't even publish them. But I try to get you right up to the edge, if you know what I mean. Cheers, have a great day.
All right, I told you we were searching for Smokey, and right here in Gary, Indiana, at the Hard Rock Cafe, home of the Jacksons. You just saw their suits. We're in the Hard Rock Northern Indiana Casino because that's where the show is. And this place is packed. It's loud. But hey, it's ground zero for soul because the Jacksons grew up about 3 miles from this place on 2300 Jackson Avenue. So we're in Michael and his brother's house, if you will. So Smokey's going to have to bring it tonight because this is a soul crowd. It is a seasoned crowd for rock and roll, blues, rhythm and blues, soul, and jazz. And you can't just walk into, oh, there he is, Michael Jackson's glove, the shoes, and this jacket or shirt that was made by his mom, sewn by his mom. Look at all the stuff they've decorated this place with. It is totally decked out. Oh, gates are opening, so we're wandering in, and I'll tell you what, the line was wrapped around the casino, and people were waiting to get into this inner area. And what a great display of Jackson memorabilia. They didn't just do Michael. They did the whole family, and they did it right. They've got pictures and memorabilia of the Jacksons from the day where they were the Jackson 5. And they really honored and did them well. I mean, these displays weren't just thrown together. You see the Jacksons as they're getting older, and you see all the memorabilia from the days. And there's the parents behind the act. And they were groomed to be performers from a young age. Joseph and Catherine Jackson, the humble beginnings. There's the house at 2300 Jackson. And all the old memorabilia from the days of their TV show. And from when I was a kid, 10 years old, watching them on TV. And they had games. They had memorabilia. They had a little bit of everything if you were a Jackson fan. And Michael himself, you know, what a cool display. Full fro here. And I love this because it's not like Michael Jackson from the 80s. This is the real Michael that everybody would have known and see. There's the Motown label. And right there, clear as day. But the Jackson 5, these are the Jacksons that everybody knew from Gary, Indiana. And inside, what a great venue this is. Smokey's getting ready to play, and he's going to have to put on a show, like I said. You're playing Gary, Indiana, and you're playing in Michael Jackson's hometown. You better bring it. And Michael Jackson, who Barry Gorder once described as the best entertainer in the world, well, Smokey's got some competition. Smokey has earned his right, and boy, did he put on a great show. And Smokey right here was just singing it and ad-libbing and just belting it out. And I really think he brought his A game on this night. We said we were going to find Smokey, and we did. We found him on stage. I just want to go know more about his career. I want to own all his 45s, and I want to do a deeper dive into soul, Northern soul, USA soul. So where do you go when you want to find epic 45s of Motown variety? You go up to RPM Records in Northern Michigan, and you visit Tim in his room full of 45s. I'm no longer there for more than 20 seconds, and Tim's already dishing out the goods. I've got some Motown. I'm looking around from A to Z, and this is just awesome. I'm still working the Northern Soul list that my friends from the UK gave me. But I'll tell you what, I want to just dig in and find some Smokey right off the bat. So I've got Tim working the list. Fortunately, he was there because he's only there 3 times a week. And right away, he's already digging up some Junior Walker and the All-Stars, some old spinners. And I'm seeing a Purple Soul label. And Tim's doing some of my work for me. So if you can get people caught up in your passion, then you definitely are winning the game. And Tim's one of those guys that knows his music, and he definitely knows his 45s. I'm going to start digging and looking for Smokey in just a minute here. And let's go check it out. That would be under R. R-O-B. Okay, probably in here somewhere. Yep.
Tommy Rowe. Smokey, well, maybe just under the Miracles.
Well, well, how about Mimi ended up over here? R-O-E. We might have to go back a couple boxes.
Hard to say, my friend. Some of the stuff gets old.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll look. Rogers.
I might just have it all under the Miracles.
There you go. Smokey. Right there.
There you found it.
Very good.
There you go, buddy.
There's a method to your madness, Tim. I haven't figured it out, but
Ask Dan. He knows about my madness.
yeah. It's like you have your own system, right?
Well, my system gets jumbled around sometimes. People don't put things back where they belong.
Yeah, it's pretty,
he played Cruisin'. That's a sort of more of a 70s hit, but he did play it.
This is the guy who did the interview with me.
Yeah, RockMine. It's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I watched a brief part of it.
Yeah.
You were calling him like Tim the Magic Man or
Yeah,
something.
I had to pump it up, you know what I mean? So,
Dan had stores down in Ann Arbor.
oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
And
So
over in Wisconsin.
it did really good. That episode got some of the best ratings. So far, I've got 80,000 views. I'm trying to
Wow,
get subscribers.
that's pretty
Got 312 subscribers so far, but I've got like 3,000 hours viewed. So
Okay.
it's coming along. 27
It was
episodes.
a while ago. It was a few months ago. Tim told me, and I remembered long enough that I got home. I was like, wait, let me look this up. And
Yeah.
I found it.
RockMine, all one word. And just go on YouTube. Detroit Bob, I'm the host.
Yeah, that's it.
Cruising, that was pretty good shape. I can get that one too.
No, we did on WJB's page. We were the Jacksonville. did carry it back
Well, the pack, I think, became Grand Funk, right?
Yeah, two of them, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then they picked up the bass player from Question Mark and the Mysterians, I think. Yeah. Cruising. I love that song. Being with you, with...
Yeah, he managed them for a while. And then it became a problem of they thought he was scamming him, he was protecting them.
That's pretty cool.
All right, the name of the show is RockMine, and I'm back here in the dungeon, in the laboratory, with my picture sleeves, with the Rolling Stones, with the Beach Boys, with the Beatles, with Bob Dylan, with the Bee Gees, with the B-52s, with unique records of one-of-a-kind type, picture sleeves. I've even got The Who. I've got Doors, I've got Dolly, I've got Oddities, I've got Warped and Cracked, but most importantly, I've got Smokey Robinson. So let's see what we got, and then we'll spread them all out on the floor. Fortunately, I've gone through almost all of my collection and pulled the Smokies, but there's a few oddballs I still have to get out to show you. All right, welcome back to RockMine, and we're in the Vinyl Lounge, and here's a little thing I framed up a few years ago just to show people the different labels that Motown put out. Everybody knows this Motown label, but here's the Gordy label, and a lot of times these wore out so much you could barely see the writing on them. Soul was also a Motown label. And then there's Tamla. We talked about Smokey Robinson. This whole episode's been searching for Smokey, and there he is. He's been on my wall. So My Girl, That Girl, different variation on the theme. Smokey, if you notice, is not listed as a writer on this, but he is on a lot of these. And here's the stack of stuff. These are all the Motown label Tamla, which was actually a predecessor to Motown and was the first label of Motown Records. Here's Yester Love. And once again, Smokey Robinson. So instead of Yesterday, it was Yester Love. So these are great records. B-sides, maybe not that big of a hit. I Second That Emotion. That was huge. And look at the different variations on the label. These are mismatched in these sleeves, but that's the way you find them. Sort of have brown writing. A lot of times you see people write their name on them. Bill did not want to lose this record. And the B-sides weren't always hit, and sometimes the A-side. So here you see Smokey is designated as William Robinson, which is his real name, and it's Smokey in the Miracles. Let's not forget that. On some of the early ones, I think it's just simply the Miracle. So A Star Would Rise Up, where he became the big star of the band, and he would get his name out front. And the famous one is David Ruffin supposedly wanted to be David Ruffin in the Temptations, but that never happened. But they said in the movie, he said the Temptations ain't nothing without David Ruffin, and I think that was the beginning of the end. Here's the great Second That Emotion. Look at the variations here, though. Now, if you were to pull this out, you would see in the dead wax, where this was printed. All this information is buried in that dead wax, which you can barely see, but it's the area between the label and the grooves. And so, this is the way you find these, but they play great. Motown always has the year, if you notice over here, 1967. So it's sort of cool They really are history, pieces of history. And the famous Barry Gordy quote, supposedly he said, when he left Detroit, he said, well, not only did we make great music, we made history. The largest African-American owned company in the United States at the time, Motown Records. That's quite a testament. This is that collectibles label, and don't be afraid of picking these up. I think I made this little card, and you can get programs to make these cards. So this is a great twofer, because if you're going to put it in a jukebox, you don't want to waste a slot. So you got Ooh Baby Baby with Tracks of Your Tears right there, all on the collectibles label. And these, I think, were made well up into the 90s, and they're almost always twofers, where you get two great songs on one. In Second That Emotion, you can see different printing here, different font. So as a collector, you'll learn to recognize this. Same B-side, Doggone Right. Once again, there's that Robinson. So, you know, Smokey's really unique, and he's one of the greatest American songwriters. If for My Girl Only, Smokey had a really, really cool way of making things simple and relatable. And he used a lot of the dialogue that the kids on the street were using. I'll be doggone, you know, that just Smokey taking the common vernacular of the Detroit neighborhood and putting it into top-selling albums. And people and kids his age could relate to that. Yester Love. He played on words a lot. Yesteryear, yesterday, yester love. He was really great at doing that. And he would take a chance, a lot of people wouldn't, on some of the lyrics. So these are all mismatched, and that's okay. I just threw them all in a sleeve if I didn't. Tears of a Clown, you know, these were well played. Look at the wear. Look at the patina on that. Okay, back then you didn't have to have a sleeve because these 45s were meant to be scratched. And it says right here, you know, the Smokey, an album, Smokey Robinson, all this information over in the sleeve. It's so worn I can barely read it. But this says 1970. And it says 67 here, but it says 70 there. So, who knows? The song, it could have been a remix or a reprint, but there's also a lot of variations on these. And you saw all these earlier. They're digitally entered in my collection. Doggone right. I got doubles, I got triples. I pick up Motown wherever I go, but this is all about Smokey. And I really think he's the ambassador for Motown right now. And I love the fact that he is. Being With You. Remember, this was came out, I think, when I was a high schooler. 1981. It was on the radio. It was a great song. He played it, and he ad-libbed on it really, really good. So, Smokey Robinson Jr. Here's Tears of a Clown. And, oh, look at that. Stevie Wonder is credited because Smokey talked about this and that dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Stevie supposedly came to him with that, and he thought it sounded like the circus. And Smokey says on his show on Sirius XM Soul Town, he says, I didn't want to write a song about, you know, animals, circus animals. He goes, but what about a sad clown? And I'm like, oh my God, that is such a great idea. And it's probably one of my favorite songs of the whole Motown catalog, if not the genre. And Smokey and the Miracles. What a great, great song. Some of these I don't know by name but I would know them if I heard them, most of them. And then there's 10% that are just fillers on the B-side. So these are good. Being With You. Got another copy of that. Second That Emotion. That's early, but not as early as you think. It's not shop around early. So I'm going to have to get the real early stuff, I'm going to have to go into the Miracles, and I'll do that next. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Baby, baby. So you have, you know, the Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, and the oldest stuff will be just the Miracles, because Smokey hadn't emerged, or at least had the right to call himself by name. I guess that once Barry Gordy decided, okay, you're Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, But look at the patina on these, and I love records like this. It's what I love about 45s. You're allowed to write on the, it's not about the artwork, it's about the record itself. And look at the Tamla. This is the older Globe label versus the newer, bear with me, I'm going to toss a few of these around a little bit, but versus the newer label that got squared up a little bit. So you can sort of tell your age by your labels. Billy, he didn't want to lose that. I Can't Stand to See You Cry, Yes Your Love Once Again, Pat. I don't know if that was Pat from Saturday Night Live, but it was Pat. Cruisin'. These last few are the ones I picked up in RPM Records in Northern Michigan. So Cruisin' he does live and everybody sings along. It was one of my favorite songs. He plays it a lot on his show too. I know the song, but no one would say, oh, that's one of... It's actually a great, great song. When you hear it live, you get that whole different perspective. So I picked up a couple of that. And you don't get too many picture sleeves of Motown, which is a shame. But here's one from the 80s, and I thought it was a great picture of Smokey. And I don't even know what's, the name of the song. I don't know the song that well. Let's go see if we can find some miracles. All right, RockMine, we're back in the laboratory again. And miracles. So it's going to be somewhere from here, this way. And I already see a Marvin Gaye. So I'm going to look through all the amps, and I'm going to pull the miracles, and we'll go through them. RockMine back at you. Please subscribe so I can keep telling these great stories. I told you we would find some old school Smokey, and here it is, the miracles. And that's that original Tamla label. Look at how cool that is. I mean, it screams 1950s. Detroit, Michigan on the label. Jobette Music. I think here's the actual address. So you see all these little things that tell you that this is just old. And it's very, very cool. Produced by Barry Gordy Jr., featuring Bill Smokey Robinson. So he was getting a featuring here, which is interesting. So soon enough, it would be Smokey Robinson, but they're just introducing the name Smokey itself. So how cool is that? B-side, Who's Loving You? Look at the writing credit. The first one, Shop Around, is Smokey and Barry Gordy, which I always suspected that Smokey probably learned how to write a little bit from Barry, who was sort of like his mentor. But the B-side, Smokey got full credit. So look at that. That's really, really cool. That's an early Tamla. And now already going to a go-go, which is 1965. Shop Around, I believe, was 1960. But now you have a cutout, which is that little hole that you see down at the bottom, which it was probably sold as a discount. I don't know. The label has changed. You have the Globe label, 1965 over here. You have the date on it. A trademark of Motown Records, 1965. I don't know what this B-side is, but I'll probably give all these a good listen this week. Going to a go-go, a different pressing, totally different font. And they were cranking out records so fast that I imagine there was different. I know ARP is where Oswego, Michigan, I believe, is where the biggest pressing plant was. But other people were pressing their labels. And there would be variations from company to company on the label. And here you got more Robinson Rogers Tarplin. I believe those are all the miracles, but I could be wrong. Here, Tuesday Beggar as a B-side. You've really got a hold on me. I mean, look at this, how beat up this record is. But, would you not buy an old coin because it was weathered? I mean, this is just a collectible in of itself. And you'd be like, all my vinyl snob friends will be like, I would never play that. This has actually got a crack in it. I still bought it just because it's a piece of American history. But even if you played it, you could play through that crack, and I bet you would play. Sometimes even without even skipping. So what we call the patina. Remember Antiques Roadshow? Oh, all the furniture had a nice patina. Records have a patina too. And I love a beat up record. This record has been loved. You know what the best thing about this record is? Is the song. You just can't beat that song. You know, I heard the Beatles do it, and then I went back and I heard Smokey do it and on the record, and I was just like blown away because what they had to work with compared to the Beatles coming out of, Abbey Road, it was Spartan by comparison. Some old Miracles. Look at that. Tracks of My Tears. Look at that. Someone didn't want to lose this one. And now you're in the Gold Globe. Like I said, this may be their best song. And this is very good. It looks scratched up, especially when you're under the hot lights like this. But this would play very well. And SW did not want to lose this record. And Berry Gordy wasn't giving away the B-side, so you weren't getting too many twofers. But at this point, the Miracles, but Smokey was getting the shout out because he was producing over on the right there. Produced by Smokey. So, once again, shop around. This is the first million seller, and this was one of the million. I mean, this is what I would call fair, maybe even poor condition. But I bought it because it's a piece of musical history. I have one of the first million sellers right in my hand. I could clean this up and get it up to a good. I don't know about a good plus. But man, look at that record. That is a beautiful thing. Okay, Ooh Baby Baby, another great, probably million seller too. And You're So Fine and Sweet by the Miracles. Now this last one's interesting. You're like, wow, look at how clean that is. Well, Jack White has repressed some early Motown. And I've done some research on the early labels. The picture sleeve would have looked like this. So it's sort of like a bicycle. Another one, Going Places. So, Berry Gordy worked in the car factories before he started his music label business. And he was always thinking about going places. And let's take a look at this record, because this is probably nice and clean. Well, I know it is. I don't even think I've played it. But this is how that last one would have looked like when you first bought it. So they did very good about keeping the original design. But over here you see the Third Man record, the TMR, Detroit, Michigan. It may be a little flipped. It would be interesting to see the two side by side. The original Tamla. Well, actually, this is Depend on Me and way over there. So, apples and oranges. But it's the same era. So look at that. I definitely give Jack White and Third Man Records a thumbs up. I would love to see more collaboration and a reissue of all the old Motown singles using Third Man Records printing press in Detroit, or record pressing facilities in Detroit, especially when they build the new Motown Museum. If every kid left with a 45 that they could bring home and throw on their suitcase Victrola record player, would that be cool? That was actually made in Detroit. So I hope that Motown and whoever is doing the museum, it's probably corporate, private, public, and I think Berry Gordy's sister still may be alive, and I know she has a lot to do with the current museum. I hope they all get together and make some more records in Detroit like these. So that would be very, very cool. All right, so there you go. We covered Smokey. We found him. We saw him live. We found the Miracles. We found Smokey Robinson in the Miracles. And we even found Smokey Robinson solo. I'm going to tell you what, if you're wanting to study Motown and get to know more about it, find Smokey and start from there and do a deep dive. And we're going to go on and do other episodes on Mary Wells, the Marvelettes. We're going to do Marvin Gaye. We're going to do all the Motown people before this is all done. And we're going to learn together. Please subscribe. This is Detroit Bob. We'll see you next week. We're going to go back up to Michigan and we're going to do a deep dive and find some more Northern Soul. And guess what? We're not going to come up empty. Later. All right, Detroit Bob, here we are with the gem of the week. And I told you we were going to find Smokey, and we did. Not only did we find Smokey, but we found Smokey Robinson as part of the Miracles. Look at that record. I gave it a cleaning, and I think I might have got it from poor up to good, maybe even good plus. But what a great record this is. I think I got it for free in a box of old 45s that somebody gave me. The low value is $1.95. The high value, $35.84. That would be perfect condition on a perfect day, and you have to have the right buyer and collector. It was the first #1. This put Motown on the map, and it put Berry Gordy and it put Smokey Robinson on the map as a writer, because he is a co-writer with Berry Gordy on this record. And it says Gordy Robinson, Detroit, Michigan, 2643 West Grand Boulevard. That's, you know why I love this record? Because I was there and I saw this on the wall at the Motown Museum. It was the first million seller for Motown. And I love the old label. And I love the fact that I have a connection to this because of my trip to Motown. So it doesn't matter that it's all beat up. I'm going to love it. I'm going to cherish it. And it's a placekeeper till I get one in mint condition. And who knows, maybe I'll find it. It's an ARP pressing. It's a 45, of course. It's a 7-inch. It's mono. It was released on October 15th of 1960. And the genre is funk/soul, pop. The style is soul, ballad, rhythm, and blues. Written once again by Gordy Robinson. And the B-side is Who's Lovin' You, written by William Robinson. That is Smokey. 852 people have it, but guess what? 214 still want it. It's a great record to have. I've had it since 2 years ago, and I've got another copy around here somewhere. So I'm going to keep collecting Motown. I'm going to keep collecting Smokey, and we definitely found them. And you know what? Let's give it a play. See what it sounds like. All right, RockMine, here it is. Let's give it a play on the turntable. This is Shop Around. I already got it set up for a 45. And let's see if this old record that someone would have thrown away can still play. Oh, yeah. It's playing. There you go. RockMine, we'll see you next week. Subscribe. Love you guys.